Hey guys, my name's Lexi.
And my name is Jessica. Before we go ahead and get started for today's webinar, I do want to let you know that this is a pre-recorded webinar, but we will be in the chat. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask them below and we will answer them. So for today's webinar, what we're going to go over is how to track our success, right? So within LeadAR, right, we have so many ways that we can nurture, right? We have text blasts, we have emails that we can send out, right? And so yes, we're sending all this out, but at the end of the day, we want to see, hey, was this successful, right? And this is where we are talking about conversions. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. Okay, so here you can see the dashboard, and one of the most asked questions that I always get is, why am I not seeing any numbers in my dashboard? Well, that's actually where we're going to lead into. We're tracking our success. So to actually see these numbers, so you can see under the opportunity status, right, we can see open, we can see lost. If I scroll down some more, same thing, where we can have it split up a little more based on a actual specific event that we can actually track, is at the end of the day tying it to a pipeline. So this is how we're actually going to start seeing numbers on our dashboard. So the first thing that I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and click into opportunities. So this is going to be your first part on setting yourself up to be able to see these conversion rates. So here you can see I already made one. This one, the first one that we're going to really dive deep into is, let's see the conversion rates on how well our abandoned online booking leads are actually booking, right? Because we'll go a little further deeper into it, but everyone should, and if not, definitely turn it on, is having a abandoned online lead automation where we go ahead and nurture them to try to nudge them one last time to get them to fully book. Okay, so first thing that I'm going to show you is how do we even create a pipeline. So here you're going to go ahead on the top right hand side and click create new pipeline. This is where we can have the title of the pipeline that we want it, and then following the stages that we want to follow with that. But since I already have one created, I'm going to go ahead and go back into the abandoned online bookings. So here you can see I have two stages. One where as soon as they get tagged with abandoned online booking, they will automatically fall into this pipeline. And then the next stage is, hey, this is where I actually want to see the conversion rate, right? So I want to see out of, these 48 new abandoned online leads that came in, how many of them are actually booking at the end of the day with all of our nurturing and our automations where we're reaching out to them. And so as you can see just in this example, you can see, out of, the 48, 26 have fully converted and at least booked an appointment. So now, how are we going to make this automated, right? How can we have them move over to each stage completely automated? That is where now we're going to go ahead and jump into the automations and see now where all of that comes to life. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just scroll down. I'm going to go ahead and click into automations. So, and then everyone, if you're a Grow Plan user, where you'll find your abandoned online lead automations, they should be in your AR integration basics folder. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click into the folder, and now you can see that we have a couple of abandoned online lead automations where they'll work all simultaneously together. So I'm just going to go ahead and click into the first one. All right, so just brief overview on this automation and how it works is, as soon as somebody gets tagged with abandoned online booking, what they will do, that'll be the trigger. So that's actually what's going to get them in. Then this is where we're going to get them in that pipeline automatically for you. So you can see this is going to be our action where as soon as they get tagged with it, great. Now we're going to make sure that we put them in the abandoned online booking leads tab, and we're making sure that right for now we're just putting them in the stage, hey, they're a lead from abandoned online booking. And then just to finish out the automation, right after they abandon the booking, we're going to wait 20 minutes and we're going to send them a SMS, basically, giving them a little nudge. As you can see in this message, we just say, hey, it looks like you forgot something, your desired service is still waiting for you. So that is one way, or that's the first step really, on how we are going to start tracking our success in this automation for our leads. So now I'm going to go ahead and hit go back to workflow. And now the next thing that I am going to go over is just the second part. Like I said, 3 automations all work simultaneously together. So as you can see with this one, again, you can see that the trigger, it's still based on the tag when they get tagged with abandoned online booking. Now, remember, the first one that we did, we only waited 20 minutes before we reached out to them again. This automation in this scenario is, okay, after we reached out to them 20 minutes after, we're gonna give them 24 hours to book, right? So we're gonna wait 24 hours after we reached out to them. If they still didn't book, and this, like I said, completely customizable and optional, is we're gonna go ahead and send them just one last text message. And again, can completely customize this too as well, but here, as you can see on my screen, is just a little example of some verbiage that you can use. All right, and then I'm gonna go ahead and go into our very last automation for abandoned online booking. Okay, so once a customer has booked, when they were an abandoned online lead, what we're going to do is actually remove the tag, right? Because when you think about it at the end of the day, hey, we got an abandoned online lead to book. At this point, having that tag abandoned online lead, we don't really need it anymore because we have converted them. So that's where here, when I click into remove tag, you can just see we're just getting rid of the tag. And then this part is also important. So I have here remove from workflow. So remember that second automation that we had, we're giving them 24 hours to book after we first initially engage with them. And so basically, if they do book within those 24 hours, obviously we don't want to reach out to them again, have the client confused, hey, I just got this text message, but I have already booked, I just want to make sure everything's good. This will completely alleviate that for you. So that's where that remove workflow action is in place here. And then the most important part in tracking your success is now, great, now we know that this lead has booked. Now we can go ahead and move them into that next stage where we have, hey, that abandoned online lead has booked, and we can have them fall into that stage. And so you can see when I click on it, you can see same pipeline, but instead of just them being under the stage, hey, there's the abandoned online lead, here we can actually see, hey, appointment booked. So those are the 3 automations that all work simultaneously. But again, I'm just gonna wrap up again and go back into our dashboard. Okay, so now wrapping things up, I'm gonna go ahead and look at the dashboard. So here, this is where you'll finally start seeing some numbers there under your opportunity status. And then as well as, again, if I scroll down here, so you have 2 options. You can view it under the funnel category or stage distributions, just different visuals, so really a preference thing. But this is where I can filter it, hey, I wanna see that pipeline. And so this is where we can see, okay, we originally had 74, okay, how many people actually booked? Oh, 26, right? Well, so at least I know my conversion rates, and hey, I know, hey, it's working, right? We're not having, 76 to 0 where no one is working, booking. So this is just your perfect way to track your success. So yes, great. You have all of these ways that you can reach out to them, but of course at the end of the day, we want to see, hey, is this working, right? And maybe if your numbers are a little off, hey, maybe we change something. Maybe we change the message, right? So there's so many different ways. So yeah, dashboard, quick view where you can view it here, but of course, as always, you can always just go to opportunities on the left-hand side. And again, this is also where you can view it there as well.
Also, another good point, like when you are using this to track, when you think of it, let's say you have 48 opportunities, that's how many texts that you've sent out. Even if one person books that appointment, that's a $700 treatment, that just paid for LeadAR itself and you profited off of it. So I think that that's just something to keep in mind when maybe you only have gotten 2 or 3 people to book. Well, most likely it's going to be a pretty expensive treatment. So I feel like just using that in the back of your head when a lot of people aren't responding or something like that, just know if you can just get without one person, you're already going to make more money. So the next thing that we're going to go over today is also with using opportunities and pipelines. You can use these for events to track events. This is going to be a very important thing to do anytime that you have an event, no matter if it's a Botox party, if it is for Disport Day, something like that. You always want to be able to track those events and see how profitable you are or reach your goals for whatever they might be. So now I'm going to share my screen and show you how to walk through that. So when you are in opportunities and pipelines, it's going to be the same thing. So if you have multiple pipelines, just to reiterate here, this is how you select. So let's say you were looking at that abandoned online booking one, but you wanted to change to your RSVP one, you can change it there. You're going to create it the same, so except the stages are going to be a little bit different, right? So it's all going to be based on a form that you've created and that you've sent out to people, whether it's through email, a funnel, a text message, on your Instagram, things like that. But once they fill out that form, they're going to automatically go into that first stage of the pipeline. And then same thing with from abandoned online booking, if they book an appointment, they're going to automatically move over. But one thing that is different about this pipeline is this nurture sequence. So yes, we can automate pipelines, but you can also manually drag and drop them and set off automations by doing that action. So for example, let's say these couple people booked an appointment, but you have maybe some that didn't, that have came to your event, right? After a couple of days that you've monitored how many bookings you've got, maybe you want to start nurturing those leads that came to your event but haven't made that decision quite yet. So what you can do there is drag and drop them. So doing that, we can have an automation behind the stage of nurture sequence that starts emailing them, texting them, and I can kind of show you what that looks like now with the automations. Just wanted to give you a little idea of how the pipeline's going to look. So now I'm going to go into the automations tab. And just like the abandoned online booking one, there's going to be 3 that kind of all simultaneously work together. So that first one we can go over is going to be that the RSVP form was submitted. So when you want to think of a trigger, you can click on this. It's going to be form submitted, but you want to select that actual form. Always filtering in your automations is so important. I can't express it enough, because if not, random people could fall in there based on whatever forms that you have out. So make sure that the specific RSVP form or whatever event form is actually selected there. And so then we can send them an automatic SMS. So it's like, hey, thank you so much for your RSVP. Maybe send them the address, the date, the time, just a little bit more detailed there. And then you can also update their opportunity. So this is going to automatically put them in the first stage of the pipeline, which we want. And then you can also tag them. And this is going to be important in just a second on why we need to tag these people, but I'll wait on that. So after that automation is done, you can click back into workflows, and we'll go to the RSVP pipeline update. So same thing here, customer booked appointment, and they're going to have that tag RSVP form submitted. And this is going to move them to the next stage in the pipeline, booked appointment. And then we're also going to remove them from the nurture sequence, and I will show you why this is important in just a second. So remember how we were talking about if you dragged and dropped to the nurture sequence pipeline stage? What I'm going to show you is the automation behind that, right? So if you click on the nurture sequence, the trigger for that is going to be you actually manually moving them over. And then we can automatically send them an email. Are you ready to book yet? Do you have any questions? And then kind of keep on sending them stuff in the next couple of days to really hone in on that lead. And once they book, they're going to get removed from this nurture sequence so they don't keep getting texts that they've already booked an appointment. So the last thing that we're going to kind of go over is why did we tag them RSVP form submitted, right? So now we're going to be in the contact section, and maybe you wanted to send a reminder, right? The day before your event, reminding them to come. I think this is going to be a more of a manual action versus something that can be automated, but we can schedule it out in case you are busy or just need to have it already set and done. So to do that, we are going into more filters, and since we tagged them in that automation RSVP form submitted, you can easily just grab the people that have already RSVP'd to your event, and you're going to click apply there. So this is going to pull up all those people that have filled out that form and are coming. And so what you can do is click on the name, and then we're going to send an SMS. And this is where we can just send them that, hey, tomorrow's the event. whatever you want to say. But if you aren't sending it right now, you can also send at a scheduled time. And here you can select the day. So you can select, okay, my event is on July 31st. I want to send it on July 30th. And then you can pick a specific time that you are wanting it to go out. So just to wrap things up, these are the different ways that you can use LeadAR to track your leads with opportunities and pipelines and automations. So if you have any questions at all, please feel free to email us at info@myleadar.com and we can answer your questions there.
We'll see you next month.